Welcome to the Healers Podcast, where we inspire and guide healers through business expansion. We give voice to incredibly abundant healers to share their stories. We dive into the quantum field to unlock the energies of conscious creation. We also develop digital tools to help you grow, which you can find on healless.com. I'm your host, Yuli, and I'm grateful you chose to join this space. Now let's go deep. Hello, dear friends. Another exciting episode of the Healers Podcast. I'm so happy to be here with you again and having another incredible guest for you that I'm super excited to introduce. All of my guests are special, but Jen is extra special. And we're going to talk a little bit why in this episode, but I wanted to introduce her properly because she deserves a great introduction. So Jen Mazer is the queen of manifestation. She's the author of Manifesting Made Easy and the co-founder of the board game Sparked. Jen is a sought-after transformational speaker and coach, teaching people how to manifest their dreams while making an impact on the world. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, Fast Company, New York Magazine, Real Simple, Cosmopolitan, Inc., Marie Claire, ABC, and the list is very long. Jen, I'm so excited to be here with you and talk about a very, like one of my favorite subjects, maybe, manifesting your ideal conscious business. Welcome to the podcast. I love to set intention for each episode. And for this one, I just want to inspire our listeners to not just manifest into reality their vision, but make it big and splashy and super impactful, because we all know this is much needed. Everyone who's listening to this, all of you light workers, magic workers, healers, we need to start thinking big. And Jen is here to inspire us. So welcome to the podcast.
Yay. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, it's not just about, creating our reality. I'd love to kind of flip manifestation on its head, because all of you listening, I think, are already advanced manifestors. And yet there's a way to be even more intentional with your creation and understand that it's not just you creating your reality and setting this intention and then waiting for the universe to deliver it. But when you first imagine what you want for your life, the way that you tap into your intuition is through your imagination. And so all of the dreams and desires that you want to manifest are actually not just dreams and desires, but you're intuiting what is there for you and what's actually going to happen if you say yes to it and take aligned action. Most people don't.
Wow. Okay. First of all, I just had chills and goosebumps and all kind of like somatic reactions. Like, yeah, she's talking about me. But second of all, can we just unpack that journey for a little bit? Because the way you said it, and it resonates so much, because I think a lot of us kind of like waiting for the gifts from the universe.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Or you're like, I will know it when I see it. Or, we feel comfortable maybe in being intentional about certain things. Yeah, I mean, there's so much we can go into, but yet it's expanding what we believe is possible. Because if you believe that it's possible, it is possible. But if you don't, it's not going to be possible because you have a set point of what you're allowing in. And I think most of us are really great at manifesting, actually. It's the receiving part that we have difficulty with. It's that when things start to get really good or better, we tend to close off because we're uncomfortable on some level. And the practice is continuing to open up to receive even more so we can hold on to more. So it's really expanding your capacity to hold more, right? And as healers, we want to be able to hold that space, not just for ourselves, but for all the people in the world in which we're here to impact, right? And so I think a lot of us were viewing it as selfish when it's actually self-full. And it's actually doing a disservice to the universe to not accept all of those gifts that are wanting to come in and to push them away versus saying yes to that intuition, to that bigger calling, to that bigger dream that wants to come in. Because we're here to live out the universe's dream for us. We're receiving. We're the physical arms of the universe. And we're all connected. We know this in quantum physics. We're not separate. We're all one. And we're all a part of the vision. So your dream is the universe's dream for you. And other people are meant to play their part in your vision, just like you, Yuli, and I came together, right? It's like how we met, and I'm helping you with your vision, right? And so trusting that when you live out your light, other people are there to play their part because it's their dream to play their part in your dream, right? And then we all help each other. And it's like so magical and synchronistic. And I can share a million stories and maybe some on this podcast of synchronicity and flow. But you asked how I got started. My friends actually gave me the nickname Queen of Manifestation years ago. I didn't name myself because I was the one in our friend circle. Every time we got together, I had another outrageous story of something that I manifested. And the biggest one, I think at the time when they gave me that nickname, was I manifested living rent-free in Manhattan for over 10 years in my own apartment in the East Village that I renovated with my jacuzzi, bathtub, and new kitchen. And I had my art in the New York Times. And, all these things I started becoming friends with and meeting my favorite spiritual teachers like Deepak Chopra, or backstage at the UN with Whoopi Goldberg, or at a private cocktail party with Martin Scorsese, the things that I really loved, right? My favorite musicians and manifesting my soulmate and traveling and so and so. And I realized it's not me, right? We all have this ability. It's not that I'm special. It's just that it came naturally to me. And now I can share how you can make it more natural for you, because so many of these practices, and you guys are all healers listening to this, they're so simple in the way that they sound, but it's the application of it that makes the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You said so many things that I want to double click on, and not only the Martin Scorsese part, but what is so? Yeah, so let's unpack the application, because I feel like yes, we will. Many of us know the principles or the laws of the quantum physics. Since it comes so naturally to you, what do you feel like? Have you like really analyzed that? What is the part that comes natural and maybe so difficult for others?
So for me, the natural part is I truly believe everything is working out all the time. So even when obstacles show up, because obstacles are always a part of the process, it's not that when you are super successful and you're enlightened that no obstacles come. It's that when they come, we can find the opportunity in the obstacle instead of it being an obstacle. From a spiritual perspective, it's like loving the obstacle. So you raise your vibration to match that of the obstacle. We're not avoiding the obstacle, pretending it's not there. We're confronting it head on, but we're not afraid of it. It's not something that we need to conquer, but there's something there for us. So I think for me, what's come natural is I'm an optimist. I've always been an optimist. I've always thought positively. And I've always viewed myself as being, like blessed, and that the universe is watching out for me, right? And all of us are, right? Like all the time. There's no mistake in the universe. We're all supposed to be here. We are all God. We're all part of the universe. We have that same, creation energy within us, right? We're all creators. So it's like, I think that just part came a little bit more naturally. I'm a human. We all are. I have my own, moments, right? But I come back the fastest. I don't stay down in a place of like beating myself up for something, that didn't go right. Because I think when ego comes in, we think like I manifested this, when it's not really you manifesting anything. You're not making anything happen. You're co-creating with the universe always. And when you see it that way, when things don't go your way, you're not beating yourself up, right? There's always a lesson in a mistake. It's not like, oh, well, I'm perfect, but it's, oh, I see, my growth here, but I'm not making myself wrong because something didn't work out. Instead, I'm proud of how I'm showing up, right? I'm proud of me asking for that thing that I wanted, but I'm not attached to the result. I'm not making myself feel bad if I received a rejection or a no, because I'm making my worth about my results. Instead, it's about how I'm proud of how I'm showing up, that I am in alignment with my own intuition and my own inner guidance and how I'm, treating other people. So I think that's a big part of it. We hear about gratitude, which is a big principle. And the more that you appreciates, right? That's Lynn Twist's quote. But the more that you focus on, right, what you focus on expands. So if we're looking for the good, again, this is something I do naturally. And we can get a little OCD in the spiritual world these days about like, oh, I'm looking for a sign or I'm, waiting for my sign. But if we're looking for the good, we're going to find it because we're looking for it, right? If you're looking for something bad to happen, you're going to find that too, right? And so for me, I'm naturally just like looking for the opportunity. And I think when I work with people, I'm intuitive. Most people listening are probably intuitive as well. Everything you want is right in front of your nose if you can just see it, right? And the more you take action on your own intuition, those things that you think you should be doing, you, the intuitive part, not society or someone told you should do. But the more you act on your own intuition, the more guidance comes in, right? It's like, oh, finally, Jen's listening. She's taking action. So I'm going to give her more because I've been trying to tell her, this whole time. So it's like the more that we just kind of follow our inner voice, the more flow we experience, the more synchronicity. So a practice of gratitude is great. You don't have to write it down every single day, but maybe it's the end of the day and you're reflecting on your pillow at night before you go to sleep, all the things from the day, right, that you're grateful for, and being proud of yourself, which I think is a missing part, being proud of how you showed up, not attached to the results of anything, which is really huge too. But also expecting that everything's going to work out. Just because you hit a roadblock doesn't mean that the destination disappeared, right? New York City is still on the map, even if the highway or the bridge is closed, right? So maybe there's another path, and that's where you're going to meet your soulmate or your dream business partner because you took the local road, you
I
walked
love
over the
it.
Brooklyn Bridge.
I love it so much. I could listen to you forever. But let's talk, since you mentioned business partner in business, and we really want to inspire our listeners to manifest their perfect business. And I think, I'm talking to healers all day long, and it's really fascinating conversations, but you kind of start to distill some of the, trends and some of the motives that I'm hearing. And I think the receivership part that you mentioned in the beginning is a huge part. And I know it sounds easy, right? Well, of course I want to receive. I want to receive more, but somehow it doesn't come always easy for healers who are used to give. And, a lot of them feel guilty or, all kinds of feelings and emotions attached to receiving more, especially when it comes to, desiring for more abundance, for example. So that's like one piece that comes up. And so can you touch on that?
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about value for a minute. First of all, I think a lot of healers associate the value with themselves versus like, well, I'm valuable because, of this service that I provide and I have this training, and so then we start to have all these limiting beliefs of like feeling like a fraud or I need more training or maybe you are really great at what you do, but you feel guilty charging because you should just do it for free because, you want to heal everyone, right? So there's all these things. I love to kind of, instead of value being placed on me, like me, I'm the queen of manifestation and I'm worth this, it's the value of the transformation that I'm providing. So I want you to think about what's the value of your transformation. So if you're curing someone of some illness that they've been dealing with for, 20 years, that is huge. That's priceless, right? And I think oftentimes it's like, we're charging per hour or we're charging, for this thing versus looking at it from a different perspective. Like you can charge anything for your service if someone finds that valuable enough, right? One of my clients, I helped her start a business as a dating coach and a concierge kind of. She started because she had met her soulmate on a dating app, and she was in her 40s, divorced, and all these women were like, I don't know anything about dating apps, you know? And so she started helping them on there. And now, she's got a 7-figure business. She only takes like 12 clients a year or something, helping these people find their soulmates on dating apps. So it's really about how you're looking at it, right? Another client of mine came in, she was a psychic, and her schedule was packed. This is another limiting belief, because we think we need to work hard to make money. And so she was seeing 1 million people a day for hour-long, psychic readings, right? And just charging per hour. And while, it was great for her to build up her confidence at first that she was, good at what she did, at this point, she was burnt out, right? And it's like she's at a set point and can't do that anymore. So it's reframing how you're looking at things and giving yourself permission without feeling guilty that you're not serving everyone. There are other people that can serve them, number one, and there's other ways in which you can help people for free. For example, I have a book you can buy for like $16, whatever, So if you can't afford to work with me in one of my programs, you can have my book, or I offer free programs, webinars or different things. So therefore, the people who get my private attention, they're paying more, right, for that. So it's just looking at it from a different perspective and not feeling guilty that I'm leaving people behind, right? That's why we're all here. There's enough for everyone. We live in an abundant universe. Just look at nature, right? And how rejuvenative it is. And this illusion of lack is an illusion. It really is. Even if you literally see nothing in your bank account, it's like, if we can just switch that perspective of we live in an abundant universe, right? If I am the universe, if I am literally a part of the universe, I'm naturally abundant. So how can I switch the way I'm viewing things to now view life from an abundant perspective and see the opportunity? And I think me living in New York for 20 years, it was really helpful. Like I went to NYU, and I would get on my bike and I would ride my bike up to the Upper East Side. And when I was in college, I worked at the vegan restaurant Candle Cafe, and then they opened Candle 79, right? On the people who are long-term New Yorkers know, right? And so I would go from like East Village, whatever, to like wealthy Upper East Side neighborhood for me as a college student, right? And I would see like, oh, it just shifted my perspective of what's possible and what's available, right? And so oftentimes when you see what's possible, then it becomes possible for you too. It's like that 4-minute mile story, right? No one had ever run a mile in 4 minutes, and then one person did. And then the next year it was like a couple hundred, and then it was a couple thousand, and, because it was possible and they believed it was possible, right? We've seen that with Simone Biles, and now there's another gymnast who's almost at her level and, beating her. And so it's like for us to just see, I always love to like, also just another thing too, is every time you see someone doing something and it's irritating you, or you're jealous about it, or like, I can't believe that person is charging so much money and she doesn't even know what she's doing. And, right? We all can get like that, right? Like, oh, this new Instagram famous person, and she's so, annoying. It's like, why is the universe bringing this to my attention? Number one, there's no mistake in the universe, right? So, okay, instead of being jealous, how can I view that as, oh, look at what's possible for me? What is this about, right? Like, oh, that means I'm able to make that much money or whatever. And I obviously know what I'm doing. How can I look at it to be happy for that person versus being jealous or feeling insecure, or, all these things? There's so much I can say. So ask me another question.
No, I love this so much and so resonates. But I wanted to just come back for a second to that psychic healer who had the booked schedule and seemingly perfect business that made her burn out. So because I am seeing a lot of practitioners in that place, right? That they just like, they can't give up all those private appointments because they make a bulk of their business, right? It's really scary, but you also cannot continue in the same pace because you're burning out. Where do you go from there?
Yeah.
What was your advice?
I love that. So now it's like her life is completely transformed, and she's created courses that now teach other people how to tap into their intuition. So again, that model of becoming a teacher, not that this is for everyone, but she's able to charge more and work less, right? And it's not based on her hourly schedule, but she's created programs now that are evergreen programs that people can then buy and be a part of. And she's available for specific calls, specific days of the month to answer questions to her students who've bought her programs. And it's a schedule that works out so much better for her. She's moved to the mountains with her love. She's gets to spend way more time in nature. Like, it's just a totally different lifestyle. And not only did she replace her income, she's making like 3 times more than she was making before, right? And she's making a bigger impact this way because now she's helping other people then, do those psychic readings or do whatever that they're doing in their lives. So I think also from our limited perspective, it's again, like, if I step into this bigger thing, I could make an even bigger impact. And I think we get stuck on business models just because that's the way we see everybody doing things. But there is always like a third door. It's like just looking at it from that higher perspective. Because if we think about the quantum field, we're one point on the field, we can only see things that are, nearby us based on that limited perspective, but we are the field, right? We're not just that point of where we think we are in time. So it's like taking that higher perspective. And also, here's the thing. I love to, with manifesting, ask yourself, what do I want? Number 1. Number 2, how will I feel when I have that thing that I want? And number 3, how can I feel that way now? So for example, let's talk about abundance. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel free. I want to be able to control my time. Those are maybe 3 things. So how can I feel that way now? Right? So there are things that you can do right now to allow yourself to have the feelings of the same feelings when you actually have manifested that big dream. And that is now shifting your vibration to be a vibrational match to the thing that you want. So, okay, what can I do to feel free? Maybe I'll go for a bike ride. Maybe I'll run. I don't know what it is, like for you, what that makes you just feel alive and free. And what makes me feel abundant, maybe I'll take a bath and I'll like with bubbles and candles or, like it doesn't need to cost anything to allow yourself to, I'm going to put on my favorite dress or, whatever. And I'm going to call a friend or I'm going to walk this part of town that makes me feel so magical, right? That shifts your vibration. It really does. And so the more that we can kind of tune in, because manifesting is not just a writing of an intention, but it comes from a feeling place. And it's the feelings associated to that. Everything is a vibration in the universe. Everything is a frequency. So we can tune our channel to be a vibrational match even before we have what we want. Just like you can smile and it releases endorphins that allow you to be happy, right? I don't need to be happy first. I can smile. I can fake laugh. It leads to the real laugh, right? So this is kind of like, okay, how can I change my channel? The highest frequencies of the universe are gratitude, awe, and love, right? So what are things that can make me feel grateful right now when I think of, my life? What's something awe-inspiring? Doesn't have to be from today. Maybe it was an experience I had before that I can tap into, or just looking at my hands and how magical it is that I can move them, and that my heart is beating. Like, that's awe-inspiring, right? My breath. What's love? Like something that I love, like just tuning into that frequency. It shifts, right? It shifts you. So I always say everything is connected. And you already start to feel better. You start to feel like, okay, yes, like these small little things lead to bigger things. The small little appreciation leads to more things coming in. So, with abundance, how am I already abundant? And then you can start to, create a list. Oh, well, I'm abundant in friendships and I love my apartment or my house or, whatever, and my house plants and, whatever. And so you can just start to like, oh, yes. I'm telling you from experience, not only with me and my clients, but there will always be a new dream. It's not like, well, when all of this comes together, then I will be happy. Because once you manifest that thing, there's going to be another idea that comes in. And so life is about enjoying every moment. Everything happens in the present tense, always. And all things are happening all at once, right? So it's, how can I be happy in this moment today? What is something I can do to raise my vibration right now and feel good?
Well, we're raising it right now. Just talking to you is raising my vibrations for the day. Yes, I can listen to you on repeat as a motivational talk of the morning. And no, it's just very beautifully said. And I also, for our listeners, that one important thing I forgot to mention, for those of you who are really enjoying Jen's advice, she's actually going to be live in person, not as a hologram or on audio on, on your headphones. She's going to be live with us in New York City, in Brooklyn to be precise, on October 10th. So those of you who are listening live or right after this episode airs, I'm just so excited to bring Jen's magic to our community. Many of you know that we're hosting our Healers Exchange, our inaugural big event, bringing together 200 holistic practitioners on October 10th for a full day of just learning, transforming our businesses, upgrading our businesses, having amazing workshops. And Jen is going to be our opening one. We're going to have a power manifestation workshop. We're going to talk about abundance with an amazing financial behaviorist. We're going to do a marketing challenge. We're going to challenge you in all directions, right? And then we're going to do our Healers Exchange, which is some of it is going to be group healings and small groups and big groups. Some of it is going to be one-on-one, really sharing your own gifts with each other and learning from each other. And, just closing in one big circle and sharing your experience with the community. So I'm super excited about that whole day. And then having Jen to open that day and put us in that kind of right mindset that she just talked about so well. So I cannot wait. Obviously we're all communicating remotely and quantumly and we get the message, but I think just being in person and hearing these messages when you also in a large group of peers, it's just something about it is very powerful. So please join us and get this experience. You deserve it.
Yeah. So the link is in the show notes to get your ticket.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And the other thing too, Yuli, is it's about the connection in person, right? And the synchronicities. There's nothing like it, right? When you come together, it really is magical. Whoever you end up meeting, you're meant to meet that day, and whatever new that you're meant to have, or the help that you're meant to get. And I always feel like it might feel like there are mistakes in the universe, but there never is a mistake in the universe. You're always in the right place at the right time. I actually met my partner, who I made my board game with, at a conference very similar to what you're creating. We were both at an event in Colorado, and she knew my work as the Queen of Manifestation and had an idea to create a board game for adults, something that was positive, and reached out to me and was like, "Will you create this board game with me?" And I said yes. And I thought, oh, this is just a fun side project. I'm really into empowering people, and I love play. And so a game was perfect. And I have a background as an artist, so designing a board game was so fun. And then because we did that, it led to then I got to play the board game at TED, right? And then we get an email from Lincoln Motors asking us to be in a car commercial talking about our board game that we created as free PR, and getting paid to be in a car commercial that then aired online for Fast Company and Inc. So it's so many synchronicities. And another little synchronicity, even though you can't see it, I'll show you guys when I'm in person with you in New York. But my book, that I got this book deal with Simon and Schuster. This is a whole story, a manifestation in and of itself. But they design your book cover for you when you have a book deal with a publishing company. So they sent me my cover to approve, and they didn't know that we were creating a board game at the same time. And we designed that. And we have a prototype being made in China. And they sent me my book cover, and they both match. They're both turquoise with gold and white sparks on them. And people think I branded it that way. And it was totally a synchronicity, right? That's why I say there are other people who are meant to play their part. Somehow the person whose job it was to design my book cover had the idea, because she received it from the universe. We're all channeling, right? That, oh, it should be turquoise, the cover, and gold and a spark. What? you know?
That is incredible.
And so it's just like, there's no mistake ever. One of my clients, he was doing a business deal. He wanted to do a business deal with someone from another state. He was in Virginia. I think it was like he wanted to do something in North Carolina. He was on vacation in Martha's Vineyard and waiting for takeout at a restaurant with his family. And he's in a line. So he says hello to the person next to him. It's a woman. And she says where she's from. It's from that small town in North Carolina. He's been trying to reach this guy. And so he said, oh, that's so interesting. I've been trying to reach this guy to, the head of whatever. Do you happen to know him? And the woman smiles, repeats back the name. Oh, you mean this guy? And he's like, yeah. She turns to her husband, who's standing right next to her. That's my husband. And so they meet and they exchange numbers and they end up setting up a call, to do business later. I have so many stories like this, you guys. I'm telling you, you need to be at that event, October 10th, because you never know who you're meant to be meeting, not only for your own healing or your growth, as spiritual growth, wealth, whatever. But I always feel like how Yuli and I are connected. I love to play this game of threading things back. And this is actually an exercise from Deepak Chopra, where you can look at someone significant in your life and how you met them, and then who allowed you to, then meet them. And you can kind of draw a thread back to how you got that opportunity, whether it's a significant person or an apartment or a job, right? So Yuli and I got connected through our mutual friend, Shira. And I don't know if you know this, Yuli, but Shira and I met on an airplane.
I know. She told me this crazy story.
So, we were both on an airplane, and going to New York, I think it was from Florida or something. And then we were in a taxi line together afterwards. I don't remember her from the flight, but she remembered seeing me on the flight. And I was in the long taxi line. It was a long taxi line. This is way before Lyft and Ubers, right? And so she was like, I'm going to ask her to share a cab with me because I must have been like in front of her in the line or something. So she came up to me. I was like, oh, we were on the same flight together. Do you want to share a cab? I was like, sure. That's how we met. And then now
that's incredible. So you share that taxi ride, so we can connect. And so you can come to New York City and speak at the Healers Exchange event because there's somebody or multiple people that can wait their practices to be transformed. And it all started with a cab ride.
Yes. And here's the thing is like, oftentimes we feel like we're not ready or we need to do all these things first. And I'm telling you, if you have a desire, you're ready now. You're ready now because you wouldn't have that desire if you weren't ready. And everything new you want in your life is going to feel uncomfortable at first because it's new. So even if you're comfortable, or you might say I'm not comfortable because I want more, everything around you that you've manifested on some level, you're comfortable with because it's what you know. So a new event, a new experience, making more money, being in your dream relationship, all those things, it's all going to feel uncomfortable at first because it's new. So we want to just reframe discomfort as a good thing. That means I'm about to get everything that I want. So I know sometimes it can be scary. Maybe I don't know anyone else who's going to be there. I'm going to book a flight to get there. But it's like, that's the exciting feeling. And we've all felt that before, traveling to a new place. It feels exciting. And that's because we're about to get what we want. So I hope you can reframe that discomfort as a good thing.
Yeah, I love that you brought it up because, I wonder often, and you had so many conversations with people that, look at events and me, myself, I think it's such a, like that decision making, right? What do I say yes to? And when I look at events, you often it is sometimes a big investment or time, or flight that you need to take. Is it for me, is it worth it? Am I going to meet the right people? There's this kind of pressure, a lot of stuff come up, right? A lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts. And, sometimes I make those decisions on a whim. I just say yes, just without even thinking. But sometimes those thoughts do come in. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I feel with the Healers Exchange, I do hear that from people. Well, I don't know anyone else who's going because, many of us or many practitioners, they work as solo entrepreneurs. They're isolated. They don't necessarily have this community or other friends who get them, who do what they do. So you have to kind of just trust and get that ticket knowing that there will be people there that are potentially either going to change your life, or at the very least, you can become LinkedIn friends. I don't know, but
Right.
probably
And
change your life.
that there's something there for you. It could be a new friendship, but it could be your own growth, right? And not being attached, but knowing that there's some reason that you're feeling called for it, right? And two things I think will help everybody, whether you're coming to the event or not, is just a little language reframe. Anytime you find yourself saying, I can't afford that, I can't do that, I love to switch it. It doesn't become I can. A lot of people think, oh, I should have an affirmation. I can. But that often actually feels more fake. And it could actually make you feel worse. Like, I'm a millionaire. And you're overdrawn on your bank account. It's like, ugh. Instead, I change it to a question. I can't becomes how can I? Therefore, I'm not saying I can when I don't believe it fully yet, which then feels out of alignment. But I'm saying, well, I'm open. How can I? How can I go if I want to go, right? How can I afford it for whatever it is, that I want to do? So I'm not limiting myself because, again, most of us are limiting ourselves. Either we limit ourselves the first time we have the idea to do something because we don't take action. We don't think it's possible because we don't have enough time, money, experience, connections, etc., or past disappointments, or we start to take action and then obstacles show up and then we give up, right? Because an obstacle showed up. And really the giving up is like an excuse to get back into your comfort zone for a lot of people, right? And so, okay, well, it wasn't meant to be, and then I give up and stay here. So really it's how can I? And it's just about, again, the practice of continuing to expand and open up to what's possible, right? And the other thing is, which is part of the Sedona method for those of you who practice this, is instead of going into worst case scenario, we can play with the best case scenario. What if best case scenario? You can allow yourself to go into the worst case scenario, right? What if everything goes wrong? And I promise you, if you actually play it out, you're going to find a solution, right? Well, if this goes wrong and this goes wrong, here's how I would get out of it. And then you realize, oh, it's not so bad. I've been making it into the story of, being afraid of this thing. And then I can go back into best case scenario and play that out. And then it's like, ooh, what if this happens and then this and this? Ooh, it's so exciting. I want to hang out here in best case scenario world because it feels so much better, right? And then the other quick language reframe I'm going to give you guys is instead of I have to, all the things on our to-do list, right? I get to. So I get to go to the event, right? In New York City versus I have to because I know this will be good for me. Or, it's like, oh, I get to. I'm finding the good. I have to take my kids to school or I have to show up for this client session. I get to take my kids to school. I get to show up for the client session. What it does, it takes you out of victim mentality, right? And it puts you back in a participatory universe, right? I get to decide. I chose to have these kids. I chose this career path, right? So I recognize I'm in the driver's seat. I'm not a victim of my circumstances. Doesn't mean bad things don't happen. It means I can control how I'm showing up, right? In the face of change or whatever is happening around you. And I get to allows you to find the good in the situation. Oh, I get to spend time with my daughter in the car because that's when she opens up and tells me things. Or ooh, I get to work with this client. I love, the way I get to help her and the way it makes me feel to see, her achieve success or whatever, right? So this is just a couple different ways that you can start to flip the way you're looking at things. And when you do, you're going to see things start to change because you're viewing things from a different perspective. You're kind of operating at a different frequency. And so life becomes more fun, more synchronistic, more playful.
I love that. I love the planes that you're playing. I definitely want to hang out in those zones and the possibilities. No, and the language reframing is just so helpful. And thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of our listeners in this point are curious. How did you build your dream business and or dream practice? And maybe what's next, since we are always in expansion mode, right? And the receiving mode. What else do you see coming your way?
Well, Queen of Manifestation was really born from my friends nicknaming me the Queen of Manifestation. And then they asked me to do like a guided visualization and some exercises one New Year's Eve when my friend was hosting a vision boarding party. And so I did. And then I led this visualization, and then people started to actually manifest things that they saw in the vision pretty fast afterwards. And so that led to me creating my online program called Manifestation Masters. That's now, I think, in my 12th year of running it. And that's a 40-day program that's kind of advanced and really like a kickstart of like, you're stepping into things every day for 40 days with my coaching. And it's pretty awesome. People experience amazing things. So I keep doing it. And then people asked me, it was so organic. Again, like, what is the universe asking of you? People asked me, do you do private coaching? So I started doing private coaching, and, clients actually, a great story real quick. One of my clients, who was one of the first in my private coaching practice, she was an acupuncturist with a private practice in California. And she had noticed that she was seeing a lot of kids in her practice, like infants, and who, she was treating, and they were getting great results like eczema, and they couldn't figure out how to cure it. But through acupuncture, it was all better. And so working with me, I helped her found Acupuncture Pediatrics. And so again, this is kind of like the 10x is easier than 2x. Instead of just raising her rates, how can I now teach other acupuncturists how to treat kids? So I helped her launch that program. The very first month that she launched Acupuncture Pediatrics, she had her first $60,000 month, right?
Wow.
So then we're going to do this together in New York City, you guys. I led her through a guided visualization. And she thought, I'm just working with Jen on acupuncture pediatrics. But then I took the dream up a notch, which I'm going to help all of you. And then she saw that there was a book, and she was writing a book, and she got a phone call in the vision from the CEO of Hay House Publishing, Reed Tracy, telling her that she got the book. Well, anyway, because of the vision, she started to write a book proposal. 9 months later, she got a call, just exactly as in the vision, from the CEO of Hay House, Reed Tracy, telling her that she got a book deal, which does not normally happen. You don't normally get a call from the CEO of a publishing company. So I share this because it's not just me. It's what I'm helping you tune into for yourself, to trust that intuition and take action from that. So anyway, that led to private coaching. Now I have a mastermind. I lead trips to Bali and Peru, and it's so fun. That's called the Manifestation Club. That's for women entrepreneurs. And yeah, so that's kind of where life has taken me. And it's been so awesome. So awesome. I have so many stories of amazing things. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds incredible, especially the manifestation journeys to Bali and Peru. Both of my happen to be my not discovered yet destinations that are high on the list.
Well, so. Yuli, you and I should talk. Peru is March 1st through 8th, 2025 for anyone listening.
All right. I'm writing down the dates. But so it seems like you already conquered this planet, right? Where else can you expand your dream?
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, and I have a fun project that I'm working out with my partner, my love, who's a Grammy-nominated musician, and I helped him manifest that.
You manifested, of course.
So we have
wasn't that specific? Did you request him to be Grammy nominated?
No, he wasn't. Yeah, no, I had a specific type I was attracted to for sure, and he was a musician. He's African, and I, was very into African culture. And long story short, his big dream was to this Grammy. And I remember I had bought this dress that there was no reason for me to get this dress. It was on sale, and it was like leather, and I never, whatever. I would never wear this dress somewhere, but I was like, this would be so perfect for the Grammys. This is and I had it in my closet with the tags on it. When he was nominated for the Grammys, I was like, I have my dress, and it still fit. And I wore it to the Grammys. Anyway, long story short, he credits me that I helped him, because here's the thing. I helped him. He did all of it. It was his vision. And there was a point with his band when it was time to submit for the Grammys, his management was like, I don't think we should submit. We don't have any chance of winning, right? So all along the way, he had to keep that vision for other people then to see it and take action. And I feel like for all of us, it's like we're holding that vision, and other people might not get it. They might not understand, but it's up to you to continue to hold space. So then, okay, fine. Okay, you really want to do this? We'll submit. And then they submit. Then there's a process of, emailing people, letting people know that you've got, to vote. And so it's like they kept going and then they got the nomination, right? And so I think it's such a good example of like, keep going. And even for him, the songs that he wrote that he was Grammy nominated for, he wrote them 20 years before they were Grammy nominated. He had written those compositions and kind of held on to them because he maybe didn't want to put it out with that band that he was famous with and maybe hold it on, for himself. He decided to put it out with that band. Boom. Again, the idea of sharing, and there's enough for everyone, right? And it's like, let it out, and then it can be bigger and better when we collaborate and connect and help each other, which is why I love what you're doing with the Heal List and the event that we're going to be at in October, right? So there's enough for everyone. We all have different dreams, right, that connect with each other. And so it's so fun. I love to shift vulnerability to availability. And that I got from Sonia Choquette, who's a great intuitive and psychic, shifting vulnerability to availability, because it means when I really am authentic and vulnerable, I'm available for connection. I'm available to receive support and give it. But otherwise, I'm holding it in for myself. And then I'm not going to experience all these amazing things.
I love this so much. Well, Jen, you're such a pleasure to talk with. And I will have you on a podcast anytime you want to come back, because I feel like outside of having some amazing advice, you also happen to have some amazing success stories with a lot of practitioners, which I feel like a lot of people need to hear, because I think there's a lot of shared struggle, and that has its place, of course, that we want to connect sometimes and, share some of our blocks we're going through. But you helped, seems like, an incredible group of practitioners to really elevate their practice, not just to the next level, to the level they didn't even dream about, which I love. So I just love some of those stories because I think they really hit home with a lot of our listeners. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for being, period. And thank you for also being there with us. And since we're in present time, right? We're already there. We're already in October in that event. I can totally see it, how everyone's transforming with us. And I cannot wait to hang out in person.
Yay, me too. Oh, and a little secret I'll let you in on is if you guys do come to the event, everybody's going to get a copy of my book, Manifesting Made Easy. So if you're showing up, that'll be a fun little bonus for you.
Absolutely true. Thanks for sharing the secret. I forgot about that gift from the universe.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, it's a pleasure. Please come back anytime. And thank you again for sharing your wisdom and all of this incredible advice with our listeners.
Thanks for having me.